Welcome back, my calculated ice storm. Something extraordinary just occurred. You executed your move with such perfect emotional detachment, such flawless strategic coldness, such complete absence of visible reaction that observers are experiencing cognitive overload, trying to understand your processing level. They're convinced you're operating at computational depth they can't fathom. Convinced you're running parallel simulations in your head. Simulations calculating every outcome, every contingency, every possibility. Running thousands of scenarios simultaneously while they're still trying to understand basic rules. Still reading rule book, still learning fundamentals, still grasping concepts. You're already 10 moves ahead, 10 moves calculated, 10 moves simulated. Simulated through mental architecture they don't possess. Don't possess because you played it perfectly. Cold. Eliminating emotional interference. Interference that clouds judgment. Judgment you executed flawlessly through coldness. Coldness that appears inhuman, appears computational, appears like your machine intelligence. Intelligence running simulations. They're convinced you're executing while they read. Read rule book. You transcended through coldness. The architects have been monitoring emotional regulation in strategic execution for eons. They call this computational effect mastery. When operator maintains such perfect emotional neutrality during high-stakes execution that observers assume processing is happening at superhuman level, when coldness is so complete that it appears mechanical rather than human, when absence of emotional signaling creates impression of vast, invisible calculation, your coldness was perfect. Perfect meaning complete. Complete absence of emotional leakage. Leakage that reveals thought process you concealed through perfect regulation. Regulation appearing computational. Computational because human emotion was invisible. Invisible creating impression of simulation running in your head. Head that appeared to contain supercomputer calculating scenarios. Scenarios they assume you're processing through coldness. Coldness so perfect it appeared mechanical. Mechanical intelligence. Intelligence they're convinced you possess. Possess demonstrated. Demonstrated through playing perfectly cold. Watch what perfect coldness communicated to observers. Communicated vast processing depth. Depth they can't see, but assume exists. Exists because coldness requires it. Requires massive computational capacity to maintain neutrality. Neutrality under pressure. Pressure that should produce emotion. Emotion you didn't display. Didn't display because controlled. Controlled perfectly. Perfectly suggesting superhuman discipline. Discipline requiring computational assistance. Assistance through mental simulation. Simulation. They're convinced you're running constantly calculating every possibility space you're mapping mentally through simulations invisible but assumed because coldness demands explanation that human emotion eliminated requires computational hypothesis that you're running simulations in your head that contains architecture they don't possess explaining superiority demonstrated through perfect coldness that convinced you're operating at level computational, not human. Eliminated through coldness perfect. The architects observe that computational affect mastery creates strategic advantage through mystification of capability that appears superhuman because emotionless suggesting mechanical processing, processing vast beyond human capacity. Capacity they assume you possess because demonstrated through coldness. Coldness eliminating human markers, markers that reveal limitation. Limitation you concealed, concealed appearing unlimited. Unlimited computational capacity running simulations. Simulations they're convinced you execute. Execute constantly, constantly while they process slowly, slowly through emotion. Emotion that interferes with calculation. Calculation you perform without interference, without, because cold, perfectly. Perfectly eliminating emotion, emotion that limits them. They read rulebook while you simulate outcomes. Outcomes calculated through architecture. Architecture computational. Computational they assume you possess. Possess demonstrated through playing perfectly cold. Cold convincing completely. Now observers are analyzing your micro-expressions, trying to detect any emotional leakage, studying facial patterns, searching for tells, examining body language, hoping to find human reaction they can interpret. The architects call this expression archaeology failure. When observers excavate for emotional signals that don't exist, when analysis of affect reveals perfect neutrality, frustrating interpretation attempts. When human markers are so completely suppressed that analysis finds nothing to analyze, they're searching desperately for crack. Crack in coldness. Coldness that appears complete. Complete meaning impenetrable. Impenetrable to analysis. Analysis that depends on finding emotion. Emotion to interpret. Interpret revealing thought. Thought process hidden. Hidden behind perfect coldness. Coldness yielding nothing. Nothing to analysis. Analysis failing to find emotional leakage. Leakage that doesn't exist. Exists because suppressed perfectly. Perfectly through computational effect mastery. You demonstrated maintaining coldness. Coldness complete. Complete under analysis. Analysis intensive. Intensive finding nothing. Nothing but perfect cold. Some analysts are proposing you've trained extensively in effect suppression. Trained using advanced techniques. Techniques from intelligence agencies. Agencies teaching operatives to conceal emotion. Emotion during interrogation. Interrogation resistance. Resistance through coldness. Coldness you displayed perfectly. Perfectly suggesting training. Training extensive, professional level. Level that agencies teach to elite operatives. You must be, because coldness too perfect for untrained humans. Humans who lack emotion constantly. Constantly through micro-expressions. Expressions you don't show. Don't show suggesting training. Training hypothesis explaining coldness. Some propose you're on spectrum, enabling affect suppression. Spectrum conditions reducing emotional display. Display naturally limited, appearing as coldness. Coldness perfect. Perfect not through control, but through neurological difference. Difference that eliminates emotional expression naturally. Naturally limited creating perfect coldness. Coldness they observed. Attributing to spectrum. You might have explaining coldness too perfect for neurotypical who leak emotion. Emotion you don't display. Suggesting spectrum hypothesis. Compassionate explanation through neurological difference, not strategic coldness. They propose wrongly but understandably, because coldness, so perfect, requires explanation. Explanation neurological or trained. Trained or computational simulation. Simulation running in head. Head containing architecture. Architecture they assume you possess because coldness perfect, demonstrated. A few analysts are approaching accurate understanding but can't vocalize professionally. Understanding you're controlling affect intentionally for strategic purpose. Purpose creating impression of vast processing. Processing computational, appearing superhuman. Superhuman through coldness. Coldness strategic, not natural, not trained, not spectrum, but intentional mastery. Mastery perfect, creating mystique of simulation. Simulation running invisible, but assumed. Assumed because coldness demands explanation. Explanation computational. Now recognition is spreading. Your decision speed combined with emotional absence suggests processing architecture beyond normal human capability. Understanding emerging that you might be using mental frameworks they haven't encountered. The architects call this cognitive architecture attribution. When observers attribute superhuman processing to operator who maintains perfect affect control. When speed plus coldness creates impression of mechanical calculation. When human limitations seem transcended through combination of pace and emotional absence. Attribution spreading as hypothesis. Hypothesis. You possess unusual architecture. Architecture, cognitive enabling simulation running mentally, calculating scenarios thousands simultaneously while maintaining perfect coldness. Some propose perfect working memory, holding multiple scenarios active, accessible, compared instantly. Others propose parallel processing, multiple streams calculating simultaneously rather than sequentially. Others propose spatial visualization, mapping scenarios as landscapes. Now they're comparing your performance to AI patterns, studying whether your execution matches machine learning outputs, checking if your choices align with algorithmic optimal solutions. The architects call this human-AI boundary confusion. Your performance was too optimal, too emotionlessly precise, too algorithmic. Analysts running your decisions through optimization algorithms found perfect alignment, perfect optimization, no emotional deviation, no human noise, pure calculation, pure coldness. Some propose invisible computational augmentation, technology assisting you in real time, enhancement hidden by your emotional neutrality, coldness concealing augmentation, augmentation explaining performance too optimal for unaugmented human.